Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of TFT Hyperroll with Artark. This is a build I've been wanting to do for a long time and never quite got it right. I'd get into the top 4, but not really be able to showcase it in the way that I wanted to. Usual warning, please do not force this build. In this case, I let the augments and the champions be my guide. You'll see what I'm talking about, but please don't try and force this one unless you want to lose a lot. In the beginning, I see a Sejuani, so of course I grab it, put the chain vest on because that's going to be a great item for Sejuani, and hopefully at that point I feel like I'm going into a Cavalier style build, but I do get an Olaf, which is someone I've wanted to play with for a while. The first set of augments, the Three's Company, is a little bit interesting because I could end up with a 2-star Olaf straight off the bat if I get ridiculously lucky. But instead I roll it and then get Titanic Strength. Now, Olaf is a bruiser and a warrior. Jax is a bruiser. So with Titanic Strength, I can increase Olaf's attack damage while having him on the board along with other bruisers. So I decide, you know what, I'm gonna try this bruiser-warrior combination that I really have wanted to work out. It requires, of course, putting in bruisers, putting in warriors, and then hoping it all goes well. And given the way this is set up, I'm not expecting to win early because I don't have some good 2-star units. Also, it's not the worst thing in the world if Olaf dies a little bit early on, since he will gain attack damage from his own death, so losing, not the worst thing. I always hate choices like this because I want that needlessly large rod so I can create a Rage Blade on Olaf, but the Champion Duplicator could also be useful if I want to get to a gold Olaf later on. I ultimately decide for the needlessly large rod so I can create the Rage Blade. And I know Rage Blade isn't necessarily considered one of the essential items for Olaf because his attack speed will go up as he loses health, but I find it really effective. You'll see right here, his increasing attack speed enables him to cut through and ultimately get through a 2-star karma. Since I'm running Titanic Strength, my goal is to pick up just as many bruisers as possible. I'd like to get to at minimum 6 so that I can be getting a good bonus, but that'll of course require me to end up putting Syphon the Dragon in this at some point. I'm also pleased to be winning a lot right now. Item selection here is pretty easy for me. I definitely want the Bloodthirster on Olaf because that is going to help keep him up longer, and I'm hoping for him to ultimately be the carry on this team. And I'm honestly surprised at how well this build is holding up right now. I expected it to be a really slow start, lost the first one, but then have just been on a win streak since, and it doesn't feel like it's slowing down anytime soon. Even though Olaf is still a 1-star, he is able to really just chop through things and lead the damage charts. Now we're at our second augment and things are getting a little bit interesting. We got a shot at a Bruiser Crown, which doesn't necessarily take us up to 8, but it can give us more room in getting to 6. Bruisers are one of those where you're going to need 2 forms of help to get to the full amount of bruisers to get the ultimate bonus. But since anyone who is a bruiser gets double the health bonus and we're running Titanic Strength, it's good to put the Bruiser emblem on anyone who is going to be doing damage. And even though I almost never run into this build in any lobby, here it is. They have a crazy plant lady in the back, obviously with the hopes of getting themselves to a Silas, so they have some whispers, and remember, Syfen is also a bruiser, so I'll often use that in my whisper builds to help bring out Syfen and make him stronger. And I just want to show you real quick as I head up to 6 bruisers that there's only 1 bruiser left to get and you need 8 to get to the highest level. So I'll need another bruiser emblem if I want to get there, and there is no way to craft one. You just need some kind of luck. But I do now have my 2-star Olaf. Now I texted Gary and said, hey, I need a little help, and gave me a spatula to go with the other spatula, but I'm really looking for a bruiser emblem. But at least this will allow me to bring more people into this fight. I was a little bit torn between Crazy Plant Lady or a Warrior. I decided to grab Yone and go Warrior route because I figure ultimately I'm bringing Pantheon in anyway, and that will be my second Whisperer. And then, of course, once syfen comes in, that will be 3 Whisperers on top of it. And I was lucky enough to get a Pantheon on the immediate next fight, so I have Whispers going into this. My thinking overall is that I'm going to want to go for the 4 Warriors over the 6 Whisperers. That Warrior bonus, since I'm planning for Olaf to be my carry, is much greater than what you're going to get with a little extra Whispers. It's time for the final Augment, and it gives us lots of interesting choices. We can pick up a Warrior crest, and that will take us to the 4 Warriors immediately, or Ascension, which is what I decide to go for, because I know that I have the 4th Warrior sitting on the bench, and I found another one, but he's not up to 2 stars yet, but that's set to go. So I didn't need the Warrior crest at that point. What I'm hoping for is to get a Bruiser crest so I can take this up to 8 Bruisers in the long run. Now here's a Darkflight team that I actually understand. They are using a Dragonmancer emblem to make Essence. The way Essence works is as each Darkflight dies, the ones left get a little bit of extra power. You're hoping that you're going to be able to power them up really high, but it didn't work out for them too well in this fight. And it is Treasure Dragon time, and it's the Chaos Dragon, which means there's the chance of it giving me emblems. You know which emblem I'm after. So I'm going to keep rolling and hoping that I can get what I'm looking for. There's also a point where you decide, is it worth trying more or taking what it's giving you? I've only got 9 tries left at this point to maybe get a Bruiser emblem. All of these others are not what I'm looking for, but finally, with just a few tries left, I get exactly what I wanted. And now, if I can find syfen, I can get to 8 Bruisers. And there is one person on this board who hasn't lost a match yet, and here they are, and I'm just glad to see they don't have a Soraka on their team, or else it would disintegrate one of mine. Now, with everyone up really strong with the extra health and the Titanic strength, I am able to quickly chop through them. Now stuff's getting really interesting. I managed to pick up syfen just before the last NPC round, and then I have to decide what I want my last item to be. I decide to go defense so that I have a really strong front line. I picked up Edge of Night off the last NPC. That goes on to Olaf. I'm going to go ahead 2-star the Yone, and for right now, going to live without syfen in the match. But when I find a Yasuo, it is easy choice to take Wukong out of the fight, replace with Yasuo, because that will also give me Mirage, whatever that bonus is. I'm not really sure at this point, but it doesn't matter. He is a far better warrior. And let me give my standard warning, even though this looks really good and really easy right now, there was a lot of luck involved. Do not try to force this. I tried to force it early on, thinking it would be a lot of fun, and had a lot of losses because of that. I've now managed to 3-star the Silas, and I put in a second Olaf for now. Once I go to the next round, syfen is going to come in to create the 8 Bruisers for Warriors. Since I'm at 18 health, win or lose, I'm guaranteed to make it into the next round, but this team is pretty easy to chop through, so it's win and straight into the top 4. And this final NPC was super nice because he gave me the Olaf I was looking for to take him up to 3 stars gold. So now we have our 8 Bruisers, 4 Warriors, and a 3-star gold Olaf that's going to be able to just, well, hopefully tear through things. Our first victim to this unreasonable comp is a really well put together combination of dragons and guild and warriors, and it would really do well against most things, but our health bar is so high and our attack damage is so much. Just watch how Yasuo ends this match. Boom! Look at that damage. Our next victim is a Tempest build with some Guardians up front to help keep Aoshin from dying. We get hit with the Tempest strike, but Aoshin is not even allowed to cast. Olaf just completely chops through their entire team. But Just when you think it's over and everything is just going to sail, that team that was really well set up has gotten a few extra 2 stars. Their bard is now 2 stars, and they're able to really do some damage to my team. I feel like my Olaf is going to be able to handle it until he's stuck in bard's ult and just gets leveled. Now, I feel the real difference is I need a 2-star Yasuo to really make this work. I've locked for it. You can see their team is a Jade Whisper team with 2 dragons, but they're really, really well stocked. I think I have a chance in this fight, but not necessarily a really good one. Yasuo is not going to get the power he needs because he's not up at 2 stars yet. Once he gets there, the additional damage from the Bruiser buff and everything will make a difference. Still, give it the old college try, but I fear this is going to have to go into a sudden death type situation, because if I lose this, I'm down to 6 health, and then winner takes all in the last match. But now I'll have a 2-star Yasuo. The other thing I do to prepare for this fight is change some items over. Since Syphon really isn't doing that much damage, I can take Yasuo, give him those items, and then throw him into the front along with Olaf. This is really just a front line comp, so this is what it's going to be going forward. I want to hit them with as much Whisper as possible, so I put all 3 of them next to each other in the hopes of taking out the real crux of their team, and then that my Yasuo will be able to do enough damage with that Bruiser buff and now these additional items that he will be able to finish them off. And you can see he just performs exactly as hoped, and even when hit with Bard, it doesn't matter. They're down to nothing, and we win. It was a really close ending, but a really fun match to play. Hope you enjoyed the video and have an absolutely awesome day.